Infinity War was a promise. It was an escalation and combination of all things that came before it. Infinity War is not just a movie, but a goddamn event 10 years in the making, and for someone like me, a fan, a follower of this franchise for all that time, well, it's definitely something special. And so it's easy to say that, hell yeah, I definitely had some high expectations. But it's also easy to say that Infinity War lived up to those, because it really did. But this didn't just feel like a simple movie, a simple entry into the franchise. Infinity War is an essential experience for fans of all things Marvel to have. I'm Jack Fitzpatrick, and this is my review of the Avengers Infinity War. So it might be a bit of a challenge here to informatively talk about such an epic without giving anything away, but I'll be treading lightly here, and I'll be putting up a second video for my spoiler points. So anyway, first things first, let's get the freaking premise out of the way real quick, because look, we all already know it, but Thanos, Mr. Good Old Thanos Evil Man, is at it again. You know, like, for the first time. This is the first time he's really done anything in the franchise, so I don't know why I said again, but this time, the first time, he's after all of the Infinity Stones, which are essentially just like these big old powerful rocks so that he can be real powerful once he has them all. And look, at its heart, Infinity War does tell a super comic booky story. It's far, far from the most serious and mature movie in the world. But the first praise that I wanted to give this movie is that despite its somewhat silly idea of a story on paper, when it comes to life on the screen, you really are able to buy in. This is thanks to its establishment of how things work within, such as the powers of the Infinity Stones, so that they really do feel vital throughout, as well as thanks to all of these lovable characters sharing the screen in their desperate attempt to stop Thanos' plan. It's here where I have to say that Infinity War is an impressive achievement. As any of Marvel's previous films would suggest, in many, many ways, on many, many fronts, Infinity War is strongly in charge, technically, narratively, collaboratively, and visually, as it nails its balancing act on the head with flying colors. Is that too many, good job phrases? Maybe, but I think we're alright. But like a lot of the MCU films, it didn't just look good during the action. In terms of cinematography, placement and framing, subtle digital effects and background stuff, costumes and makeup, and a whole load of other stuff that I'm probably forgetting, the Russo brothers clearly took their time breaking down the film scene by scene, and working out the very best way to get the point across while dazzling too, even in its downtime scenes. Of course, when the action does take place though, it's about as big and climactic and chaotic as one might expect. And here Infinity War again, of course, excels, with plenty of memorable stuff going on, new cool comic book inspired costumes being worn within, many battles taking place, and a whole lot of quips to keep us on our feet in between. Infinity War knows entertainment, and it's honestly astonishing how far Marvel has come in terms of all of this. This movie even makes the original Avengers almost seem kind of bland, which is a feat in amongst itself. With all of this action and character work, I gotta say that the film also has a fantastic balance of tones, as well as a pretty good, not perfect, but still a pretty damn good balance of characters. Look, because at times this movie could have used a little bit more of certain heroes. Really, that's subjective because we all have our favorites. Infinity War is still extremely admirable nonetheless, because it honestly allows every single goddamn one of its iconic characters to shine, if at least for one moment each. It's not always the best balance, but you couldn't ask for much better. Speaking of the strike of balance throughout this movie though, Infinity War goes for an interesting take in terms of dividing its characters into subgroups, and the fun combinations of characters and their often competitive banter is half the fun. Each of these subgroups are just as interesting as each other in different ways. Some have a bit more of a jokey feel to them, while others are a little bit more lethal and serious. The characters in Infinity War actually make you feel too. It's not just laughs and explosions and shits and gigs. Infinity War displays emotion, stakes, and consequence. But with the storylines and characters being split up so much, Infinity War could at times feel a bit like a puzzle in terms of where everybody is, how important their roles are, and how to get characters to certain places throughout. At times the movie lost a central focus here, as the sheer amount of subplots could become kind of overwhelming. I did still enjoy the hell out of it, but for the casual fan, Jesus Christ, this movie could be somewhat intimidating. So now I just want to talk about individual characters for a sec, because Thor, goddamn Thor. Look, in 2011 when his first film came out, Thor wasn't on my radar. Hell, in 2012 when the first Avengers came out after his introduction, Thor still wasn't a character that I was paying much attention to, but something happened recently. When did Thor become such a badass? Infinity War truly shows us what this character is made of in terms of superheroism, comedic timing, and likability. The guy I really need to be talking about though is of course the big bad, the main villain of the piece, Thanos, who is arguably somewhat of the protagonist of this movie in a way, as much of the focus is actually on him. It's here where I do honestly also have to give some praise for the performance behind it given by Josh Brolin, as well as of course the writing intended to tell his side of the story. Thanos holds a strong threat throughout Infinity War, and as a viewer you really do feel it. He's intimidating in a surprisingly real way, considering he's a big evil purple man. And he really does have a strong, almost scary-like presence to him, so that when the characters are confronted by him, there's actually something to fear. And I love that. With unrelenting power, Thanos is a really good villain, especially considering the MCU's track rate. I also like that he's even somewhat likable and clearly intelligent. But he's not perfect. Though quite a strong villain, I did have some issues. I love the idea behind his motivation. I like that at times he's almost sympathetic and somewhat understandable. The thing is though, I didn't always buy into his intention. And I sometimes felt like the movie was trying to convince me of his great plan through subtext rather than by showing me actual, acts. Beneath it all, I think that Thanos is great, but I think he could have been fleshed out just that little bit more. Either way though, he's still a hell of a lot deeper than like 95% of the MCU's villains, so it's a victory nonetheless. The Avengers Infinity War does all it can to have fun, tell a bit more of an honest and worthy story, delve deep into beautiful visuals in terms of action and mayhem, all the while subverting viewers' expectations and blowing all of those expectations away in one big triumphant swoop. With some surprisingly strong performances during some of its more serious scenes, some actual consequence and sense of danger, and all of the fun that's come to be a staple of the MCU, Infinity War won't let you down. It's truly a marvel to behold. Yep, had to be done.